Okay, I just want to point something out. There are like a lot of these types of films. I don't know what it is, but there's so many movies where it's like centered around a dark ride or like a haunted attraction. There's a lot of them. And I just happen to, watch one that's not really that good. So, I just want to point this out. I didn't even know the fun park existed. I stumbled upon it completely by accident. This was a movie, I think I was scrolling through Letterboxd, like lists, and I found this, and I was like, I wonder what this movie is. It looks interesting. And I'll go ahead and read the plot synopsis. Nearly 30 years ago in rural Oklahoma, Bobo the clown, the insult clown, was bludgeoned to death while blocking up for the night at the family fun park. This murder and the resulting bad publicity led to the closure of the amusement park, but legend of the demented, murderous ghost clown has since grown to legendary stature. In the summer of 2006, a group of high school students, or graduates, of course, from Wilson Creek set off to disprove the legend of Bobo the Clown and the haunted fun park. Unfortunately for these adventurers, only one survived to tell the tale presented in this terrifying film. Find out for yourself what really happened in this frightening look at an urban legend come true. So, I just want to say this. When this movie started, like the first 20 minutes, I checked out. I was like, nope, not watching it. Looks awful. There's a movie called, I think it's called Fright World. And by God, I hate that movie because I didn't watch it. It looks awful. I watched the first 10 minutes of it, checked out. Nope, there were just some movies I just can't watch. So the editing in this movie, like the first 10 minutes of this movie, I was like, oh God, this looks awful. I am not going to watch this. This looks really bad. But while I was on my phone, I kind of looked up from time to time as the movie continued to play. And the movie suddenly started to catch my interest. I didn't really know what was going on. I just kind of was like, okay, I'm kind of following what was going on. And as the film progressed, it started to really get interesting. And I'm going to say it. This movie was kind of a surprise. It's not great by any means, but this film was better than I initially was expecting. I thought this film was going to be trash because the movie doesn't look well shot. I mean, it's got this weird widescreen effect, and the film just looks very early 2000s. It screams direct-to-video movie, slasher, whatever. So I was just like, oh God, this is going to be really bad. I mean, I have a fucking stock full of slashers in my room, so it's just like, oh God, I picked one of the bad ones that I hadn't watched. But something interesting happened. I just started paying attention, and I was kind of invested. And it wasn't great by any means. First of all, none of the characters, again, for I don't know what it is. How hard is it to make interesting characters? They don't have to be fleshed out, complex. Just make a character likable, charming. You don't even have to have likable characters. You can have a dislikable character, but still have him be interesting to watch. Like, for example, I mean, for example, fucking great example, Negan from Walking Dead. He is, he's not a good dude. I mean, he's killing Rick's people in Rick's group, but over the course of the series, you learn, he has his own morals, and he's doing what he needs to do to survive for his group, and you're like, okay. He's still kind of he's still kind of the antagonist bad guy, but okay. But anyways, I'm getting off track. I don't understand why it's so hard for slasher movies, especially, to have engaging characters or just interesting characters or likable. I don't fucking know, man. I don't get it. But the one thing I will say is, as the film kind of progressed, I just started tuning in, and the movie had this mystery going on that kept me engaged. Because I obviously, you think it's a spoiler, the one girl survived, and you're like, okay, so fuck, man, that's a spoiler. Well, they do an interesting twist. They early on in the beginning of the film, we follow from the perspective of a detective who says that, none of the bodies have been found. The fun park is not there. And everyone thinks that, she was just, her and her friends were smoking. Because apparently it's reported her friends are still alive. So the whole time you're kind of wondering, like, wait, but as we're continuing watching the film, we're seeing the events unfold. So we're kind of wondering, how does all this play out? And that was mainly the selling point that was the main plot point that kept me engaged and interested and wanting to see how the film would progress. And by the time we get to the part where the clown comes in, Bobo, which for some reason I thought it was Boobs, the clown, because the cinematography in this movie is ass. It's really bad. I don't know what it is. It's awful. Honestly, it's shot in this awkward way where the camera just zooms in, zooms out. And there's a scene where a person's talking early on. It's one of the detectives, and the camera zooms in on his tie. That scared the hell out of me. The camera zooms in on his tie and then zooms in on his face. So I'm thinking, what are we doing? Just focus on his face. Is it that hard to focus on my face? No, but instead you're gonna focus on my shirt, right? Because that's what the cinematography is bad, but the film really does pick up towards the middle when Bobo the clown comes in, and the cinematography is still bad, but it has this this dirty, grungy feel. It feels very dirty, very snuffy, if that makes sense, like a snuff film. And the next 20 minutes is just Bobo the clown painting the victims that are kidnapped, and I don't know why, but there's no dialogue, and the film surprisingly kept my interest because of the way it was executed. It's not necessarily good, but the way it was shot, I don't know, the bad cinematography I feel kind of helped in a way. I was just kind of why am I watching this? Why am I engaged? This is weird. Okay, let's see where this goes. And then when, then we get to the final act and things start picking up, I'm just okay, we're picking it up a notch. This is kind of interesting. I kind of like where this is going. And I will say the only thing I really didn't really care for was, if you see this cover and you're thinking, oh my gosh, there's going to be some dope kills. There's not really a lot, and the kills that are on screen, they're not that great. I mean, so if you're a gorehound, sorry, you're not going to like this movie. But there are some good practical effects. There's a scene where one person is getting their head peeled off, and while it's not great, it's pretty good. It's not the kill. It's just kind of the aftermath. So there is some stuff in there that, I don't know, maybe some gorehounds will find interesting. But I also really thought that Bobo the clown was interesting. The backstory they gave him was really interesting, and the constant flashbacks that we get to a story kind of why he's keeping certain victims alive for longer than he probably should. He's kind of reflecting on what happened to him, and it's not really clear if he's dead or alive, which I kind of also think was very interesting. I don't know. This film just had interesting ideas that I think if it had a bigger budget, or maybe it was maybe better shot or something. I don't know, because there are some low budget films that are excellently shot, and you could never fucking tell. The Gallows, right? That's a found footage movie. It was made with a fucking $10,000 budget, maybe not even that. I'm this movie's well shot for a found footage movie. How is this? You get the point. So this isn't a great film. This is not, I wouldn't even say it's a good film, but the film for some reason caught my interest midway through, and I started to watch it. And honestly, I might revisit it just to see what I missed, because there were some parts I was looking at my phone, I wasn't paying attention. So I might actually rewatch this to kind of see what I missed. So I don't know, C minus, I guess. That seems fitting. I don't know. The reason I decided to review these two were because it's Halloween's rolling around, so You know, these kind of feel like the perfect candidates. But on that notion, Halloween is really soon. So stay tuned because that's going to be it's going to be some of the next reviews. Halloween month. Jack's back.